Jehovah's Witnesses are known for publishing in hundreds of languages, with a website recognized as the most widely translated in the world. But have you ever wondered how we're able to release our literature in print and online in so many languages at once? The answer involves a cutting-edge publishing system that our brothers developed more than 40 years ago, a breakthrough in publishing called MEPS. But just what is MEPS? Let's find out and see how this technology has helped to unite Jehovah's people and has opened the way for us to give the greatest witness in history. God's people have long understood the need to share the truth in as many languages as possible. Revelation chapter 14, verse 6 prophesied that the good news would be preached to every nation and tribe and tongue and people. So as far back as the late 1800s, the early Bible students translated our literature into languages other than English so that people could learn the truth in their mother tongue. But for decades, publishing the good news in many languages was a labor-intensive process. Imagine yourself working at a Bethel printery decades ago. It's hot and loud. Printing required the use of a linotype machine, which turned molten lead into small metal slabs of type called slugs, one line at a time. Workers had to meticulously compose pages by arranging the slugs into large metal frames that were used to make special embossed mats. Then more hot metal was used to cast printing plates from the mats. And for long press runs, the plates then had to be electroplated with nickel to harden them. Finally, after removing any irregularities, the plates were ready to be mounted on a large rotary printing press. Publishing the same material in another language meant repeating these pre-press steps from beginning to end. It took months for a single magazine to be translated from English, typeset, and printed. For books, it could take years. The days of hot metal were quickly ending. The printing industry began adopting the use of photo typesetting and offset presses. It was time to modernize operations at Bethel and make the transition to computers. But the brothers faced a unique challenge. At this point, we were already printing literature in 167 languages. So we needed a solution that could handle all those languages and more, and not one of the commercially available systems could do that. So in 1979, a group of brothers and sisters were called to Watchtower Farms in Wallkill, New York, to develop a multi-language electronic photo typesetting system, or MEPS. So we got to work on building MEPS. Some brothers and sisters concentrated on the hardware, the actual circuitry. Other brothers concentrated on the screen itself and building that. And then others of us concentrated on the software, the operating system, you might say. The MEPS team designed and built almost everything: computers, keyboards, screens, and software. They had to. Personal computers with the power needed still weren't available, and wouldn't be for another few years. Another massive part of the project involved creating the fonts, the individual letters used to make up the pages of text. Commercial fonts weren't available or were too expensive for many of the languages needed. So brothers and sisters had to draw each character by hand and scan them into the computer. For some languages, this meant drawing thousands of characters. The software then had to be programmed with all the rules for spacing and hyphenation so that words and characters could be displayed correctly. Just 3 years after the project began, the first MEPS unit was completed in 1982. With MEPS, an operator could enter text at a computer workstation in any supported language. After this, the workstation could be used to format the text and compose pages. This approach allowed the brothers to use a single-page layout to produce the same publication for all languages. The final pages were then rendered on photographic paper, transferred to film, and used to make printing plates. MEPS didn't do the translation itself. That was, and still is, a job for human translators. But it allowed all the pre-press work to be completed in a fraction of the time. And MEPS achieved something even more important than increased speed and efficiency. It addressed a global spiritual need. Even before the MEPS project began, the governing body realized that if Jehovah's Witnesses worldwide could somehow study the same material each week at meetings, it would unite them as never before. And it was clear that with MEPS, along with faster presses and other adjustments in production, this could finally become a reality. In fact, so much time could be saved in this projected operation that someday we might be able to bring out the Watchtower in all principal languages, with each dated issue containing exactly the same spiritual food for the brothers all around the world. The April 1st, 1984 issue of the Watchtower became the first to be published in multiple languages simultaneously. In just the next year, the number of simultaneous languages grew to 23. And by 2021, the study edition of the Watchtower was being published simultaneously in more than 390 languages. Almost all of Jehovah's Witnesses are now able to study the same spiritual food at our meetings at the same time. Truly a modern-day miracle. Today, MEPS does a lot more than typesetting. It's grown to become a full set of publishing tools. MEPS programming paved the way for Watchtower Library on CD-ROM and contributed to the development of the JW Library app. In fact, the MEPS acronym now stands for Multi-Language Electronic Publishing System because it drives our publishing both in print and online. In the end, the story of MEPS is more than a story of technology. It's one of love. Love moved the governing body to seek better ways to provide spiritual food to people of every tribe and tongue. As a result of that love, and with Jehovah's Holy Spirit, we now enjoy unprecedented unity and the ability to preach the good news on a scale never before possible.